In the last 30 plus years, we have seen the world of video gaming change in many ways. Controllers have evolved, gameplay has added new ways to challenge us, and graphics have improved to the point of near realism. On top of this, we've seen features that have brought us new options for how we play our games. All of these advancements have improved our experience in many ways. But is it really all sunshine and rainbows? Here in this video, we're going to take a look at what today's gaming has done to both improve on our games, as well as what negative effects they may have. I'm Agent Drew, and this is the pros and cons of modern day gaming. With today's technologies, gamers can enjoy games with ridiculous visuals that truly immerse the player in the experience. Pulling them into far-flung worlds or taking them back in time to relive major events. The positives to good graphics are pretty obvious, so what could possibly be negative about striving for a great-looking game? Stop me if you've heard this before. The game sounds like fun, but it looks like crap. Pass. With today's advanced graphics, it seems that more and more gamers have become insistent upon their games looking as real as possible, prompting more and more developers to have to put a lot of time and money towards making their games look fantastic. While there's certainly nothing wrong with wanting a good-looking game, so much emphasis on visuals can leave games feeling shallow and void of any meaningful gameplay. After all, at the end of the day, people buy games to play and interact, not watch movies. Well, unless you're a Metal Gear Solid fan. Online connectivity, bringing players from around the world together, virtually, to play either with or against one another. People can pit themselves against others in death matches to see who's the top dog, or team up with friends and battle your way through dangerous dungeons to discover hidden treasures. It's another evolution that has brought our world closer together. That is, if most people online weren't totally douchebags.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
With online gaming comes anonymity. Players hide behind a TV or computer screen, and as such no longer feel the fear of their actions and will act with some of the worst behavior imaginable. Not to mention that while we are now connected to a seemingly endless supply of gamers to play with, online gaming is still rather disconnected, as no one is actually around anyone else. Granted, everyone would prefer not to have to play with split screen and have a full screen to use, but don't you dare tell me you didn't have an absolute blast playing GoldenEye with 3 of your buddies in the same room. With the introduction of motion controls, players have been handed a brand new way to interact with their games. Whether it's knocking one out of the park in Wii Sports, or getting to experience a Metroid game as if you were Samus Aran herself. There's tons of potential. Like high-end graphics, good motion controls can help pull you into the experience. That is, of course, when they work.
You throw that ball up in the air, and when oh, jeez, and there goes the tennis racket.
What was promised to be a revolution in gaming usually just turned into a contest of who could look the most ridiculous in front of a television screen. Many games have had their motion controls feel awkward or tacked on, or in some cases they just straight up didn't work. While the Wii did have several good games in its lifespan, many of them either didn't really use the motion controls at all, or if they did, were rather minimalistic. Now that's not to say that motion controls are a bad thing, but despite the advances, I think we're still a ways off from seeing good games using motion controls as a norm. For now, it's probably best to have it as an alternative, as opposed to force-feeding it to gamers. Free. What's not to like? In recent years, this payment model has allowed players to download and play some games without any upfront cost. While they're never truly free, equipped with cash shops for gamers to spend real worth cash on, they allow people to pay for only what they want to pay for instead of having to pay up $60 and getting features that they don't care for. It's also a great way to try out a game you're interested in without the need to invest any money into it, and then decide if it's worth your well-earned cash. You know how the saying goes, you get what you pay for. As enticing as free-to-play sounds, there has to be a way for these games to make money in order to pay for all the work developers put into it. This often leads to free-to-play games being designed around their payment model, with features being cut out unless purchased, or gameplay being severely hampered until players pay for unlocks to allow the game to be played the way it was meant to be. While a one-time fee of $60 can seem a bit steep for some, it's not uncommon for players to drop hundreds of dollars into a cash shop. Sometimes free-to-play games will even fall down the slippery slope of pay-to-win, where players can actually purchase items that give an edge in competitive play, a mistake that easily can ruin a community and the reputation of the game and its developer. It's a payment model that, for the most part, is still in its infancy and may never truly be perfected, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Along with online gaming came downloadable content, or DLC. The ability to download new content and features for pre-existing games to extend and expand upon your experience. Anything from new missions, costumes, weapons, and playable characters can be added to your favorite games. A great example of this was Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare. Adding a new single-player campaign, new multiplayer modes, and tons of extras to hunt down, it was an excellent addition to an already great game that expanded upon the original while giving you a new wrinkle to the gameplay. Like any good thing, however, DLC can be exploited. While some DLC is offered free of charge, most require a fee to download. That fee can range from reasonable to outright stupid. Sometimes content will get held back from release to use as DLC later, and in some cases that content will be on the very disc you already purchased and only available when the player buys the download to unlock said content. Players have been catching on to this, however, so hopefully this trend will come to a stop, but it'll always provide developers and publishers a temptation that usually leads to short-term gain and long-term scorn from their player base. DRM. DR freaking M. Developers put always online digital rights management into place in some games in order to prevent piracy and maintain control of their game. In the process, it ends up angering many gamers as it forces an online connection not just from the players, but from the servers that the game is tied to. You just drop $60 on a brand new game and want to play it the minute you get home? Uh-oh! Looks like the servers are down. I can understand this with an MMO where it's a persistent world, but for games like Diablo or SimCity where the single player is a standard feature, one should never be forced to be connected at all times. Now, I know what you're thinking. You skip the part where you talk about the pros of DRM. Well, yeah, don't get your hopes up. While the future certainly offers many unique and wonderful opportunities for gaming, there's also concerns that those new advances and features could end up hurting the industry in the long run. Ultimately, all we can do is keep an eye on what's going on and remember that the best way to show the industry what we like and don't like is with our money. Got anything you'd like to add to the subject? Please feel free to leave it in the comments and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching. This is Agent Drew, signing off.